And so the United States keeps on expanding to the West, which means they're going to have to figure out, what will those new states be? Are they going to be free states, or are they going to be slave states? So the states here in question were Kansas and Nebraska. And we can see there's Kansas territory and Nebraska territory. They're starting to get ready to become states, right? And the way that works is when enough people move into a territory, as soon as enough people live there, then they can apply for statehood. And so the Kansas-Nebraska Act was a bill that said, we're going to allow popular sovereignty in the new states. In other words, we're going to let the people of that territory decide for themselves if they want to be a slave state or a free state when they become a state. Okay, so as people are moving into Kansas territory, they're bringing with them their ideas and their way of life and their opinions on things. And so the southern states are realizing, uh-oh, if people from the north move to Kansas, then they're going to bring their anti-slavery ideas with them. So we need to move to Kansas ourselves so that when it becomes time to vote, then there will be enough people from the South that want Kansas to be a slave state, so we'll win. So a bunch of people from the South end up moving to Kansas territory so that Kansas would end up becoming a slave state by voting, right? The North heard that that was the South's plan, so they said, we got to stop slavery from spreading. So a bunch of people from the North moved to Kansas, and with them, they brought their ideas of anti-slavery. And they were hoping that when it came time to vote, there would be enough people from the North to vote to not allow slavery when Kansas becomes a state. So this actually created so much conflict and tension that Kansas broke out into like its own little miniature war. It was called Bleeding Kansas because there was so much violence and so much tension over this issue of, should Kansas be added as a slave state or a free state? So really, this was almost like a precursor to the Civil War, that it showed us that this issue was important enough to people that they were actually willing to fight violently about it, right? So the Kansas-Nebraska Act ended up leading to Bleeding Kansas, all over the issue of, should it be added as a slave state or a free state? And if we let the people of the state decide, then we need to make sure that there's enough people in that state who want to vote one way or another, right? It was pretty tricky stuff. But again, we saw what it really meant is that apparently people were actually willing to fight violently over this issue. Okay? Take a moment now, complete your chart on the Kansas-Nebraska Act.